Welcome to JavaScript APIs. After watching this video, you will be able to explain how to work with nodes, describe how to modify the content of an element, explain how to modify the inline style and attributes of an object, and describe how to use the window object methods and events. The DOM Level 1 core and Level 1 HTML specifications have too much detail for one unit. Instead, the remainder of the unit focuses on script functions and properties that are commonly used when working with HTML pages. Some of these common APIs used when accessing HTML DOM elements in web pages are seen on the slide. DOM elements are reviewed next. To retrieve a node referenced for an element of a document given an ID, use the document.getElementById function and pass the ID value as an argument. This returns one specific HTML or XML element if a matching unique ID is found on the web page. The getElementsByTagName function retrieves a node list of elements with a specified tag name. The node list contains an array of elements in your document. You provide the name of the element you are interested in, and an array of all elements with that name found in the document is returned. For HTML elements, the tag name parameter is the literal name of the HTML tag. If you run the function getElementsByTagName with a p as a parameter argument, a node list of all the paragraphs in the document is returned. This example shows how you can retrieve all the image elements from a web page by using the getElementsByTagName function and passing image as the parameter argument. The result is a node list that is assigned to the variable image set. In the next part of the code, you loop through the node list and concatenate the results into a DOM output stream. The src attribute is a common property for the image tag. The src attribute indicates the location of the image source. The document.write function adds the script-generated HTML to the document. You can use the DOM API function document.createElementTagName to create an element in the current document. After creating the element, you can use any number of functions to place the element in the appropriate location within the document. Examples of these functions include the insertBefore, appendChild, or replaceChild function that can be used to add the newly created element into the document. This example shows the source code for adding a node to a document. A new paragraph element is being created that includes a text node with the string "Hello World." The text node is then appended as a child of the paragraph element. Finally, the entire paragraph with text is appended as a child node at the end of the body node of the HTML page. The function element.innerHTML retrieves or sets the contents of an HTML element. The innerHTML property returns all child elements as a text string. With the element.innerHTML function, you can change the contents of an HTML element by setting it to a text string that can include HTML tags. Setting the inner HTML value of an element to a string removes all of the current child elements. The browser then parses the string and sets the contents of the HTML element. You can use the element.style method to retrieve or set the inline CSS style for a particular element. If you use element.style to set the style of an element, it overrides any setting from a CSS style sheet with one specific style. The way to set the style in JavaScript is with the format element.style.propertyName equals value. For example, if you had an element, div style equals color:blue. Here, the div tag is used to group block elements to format them with a color style. You can change the style of this div tag with the JavaScript statement div.style.color equals red. In contrast, the element.setAttribute style wipes out all previous set inline CSS styles. The function element.setAttribute with parameters attribute name, attribute value dynamically modifies the attribute of an element. In the example, the src attribute of an element with an ID of the image is set to a different target image. The function element.removeAttribute, attribute name, removes an attribute from an element. The function element.getAttribute, attribute name, retrieves the value of the specified attribute in the element, if it exists. Here are some window object functions and events. To open a new browser window, use the window.open function. This method returns a reference to the new window object. You can use this reference later to close the window, with the reference name followed by the close function. The parameters of the window.open function are URL, a string that indicates the location of the web page to be displayed in the new window. You can pass an empty string if you are going to write some script-generated content to the new window in the current URL content. Name, a string that specifies the name of the window. Features, an optional string that specifies the features of the window, such as its placement and dimensions. The features string is a comma-separated list of name-value pairs. Replace, an optional Boolean value. If true, the new location replaces the current location in the browser history. The window.onload function can be used to start a function after the page is loaded. The function window.dump message writes a string into the console for the web browser. The dump function is a less intrusive way to display diagnostic information than the alert method. Finally, the window.scrollTo X value, Y value scrolls the web browser to a particular set of coordinates on a page. The onload event handler runs in the current window after the documents load the web page. In this example, the onload event causes an anonymous function to run. This function, in turn, runs the function addPara. In this video, you learned you can retrieve a reference to a node using document.getElementById returns one specific element that is based on the ID attribute. Document.getElementsByTagName retrieves elements with the specified tag. You can create an element using document.createElementTagName and place it using insertBefore, appendChild, or replaceChild. You can modify elements using element.innerHTML to retrieve or set the contents of an HTML element, element.style to retrieve or set the inline CSS style, element.attribute to modify the attributes of an element. You can manage a window object using functions including window.open to return reference to a new window object for the web browser, window.dump message to write a string into the console for the web browser. This is not an exhaustive list. Many more functions exist that enable you to work with HTML elements and nodes.